I guess it comes with any level of professionalism where you're seen at a high level. You're going to have haters, and it doesn't matter
Yes.
what you do, doesn't matter how you hold yourself, or you're still going to have that.
Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Fireside Podcast with Aegis Leadership. On this show, we chat with leaders from a variety of different backgrounds to learn from their experiences. If you're serious about leadership, mindset, business, or just personal development, then we're pretty confident you've come to the right place. Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm your host, Chris Turkington, and on the show tonight, I've been looking forward to this chat for a while. We've got Aaron Falvey from Marlborough. Aaron's an award-winning film director and producer, films such as North Spur and some other quite well-recognized films, which I'm sure he'll touch on when we get into it. Hey, Aaron, it's cool to have you on the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I do love having a good chit chat, so it's a good opportunity to chew the fat.
Yeah, likewise, man. So I guess first things first, just give us a bit of a feel around, what you've done previously and a little bit of your background and maybe some of the projects you've worked on as well.
Yeah, so I've got a fairly illustrious background, I guess. I've always been interested in video, film, that sort of thing. Like my passion for film came when I was about 10 years old, picking up a handy cam, making some short home movies, doing a few fights on camera and realizing, man, this is it. This is like how I can tell stories that I've got stuck in my brain that I want to get out on camera. And that was where that real passion and drive came from for storytelling. And I sort of, I guess, developed that over a number of years. And a bit like, I guess, a lot of interests, we go through phases, right, where we really get stuck into something and then it kind of withers away for a little bit, where our interests develop into other areas and then we come back to them. And that's very much been the case for the filmmaking career. When I finished college, I went straight into film processing, film developing, working in a photo lab doing image processing, and I did that for about 6 years. It was okay. I did the odd video, that sort of thing, but it was never really a passionate thing. It was just like first job out of school, just happened to be there for a while, and then
Yeah.
that moved on to my progression into the NZDF role, where I met you and working out at the base Woodburn and doing training videos and training development, that sort of thing. And that role was really cool in that it kind of allowed me more time to develop myself in those filmmaking things, because they allowed for personal development and to, improve your skills. And so that was hugely beneficial. And I ended up being there for 16 years,
Yeah.
which, seen a lot of things throughout the Air Force, managed to do all sorts of cool things, flying Iroquois and go for rides in the NH90 and go live firing out of the back of a lav and following people around that were live firing guns. It was a pretty cool experience. And so I guess from that role got a little bit of a burnout, and then ended up moving into digital marketing and video production at Harcourts, which I've been doing for the last 3.5 years, and that's my current role at the moment, which is proving to be a completely different sort of turnaround from the Defence Force, where you have a lot more leeway and a lot more time to develop and process things, whilst everything is very deadline driven in real estate. It needs to
Yeah.
be done and needs to be done now. So
Time's
seeing,
money, I guess, in that industry, right?
yeah, and everything needs to be done now or yesterday. So
Mm.
that was quite a challenge, going from two different ends of the spectrum sort of jobs.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly gave me an appreciation for, what I have done and what I am doing now.
Nice. And like, when did you know? You sort of said it started at an early age for you, that burn for film.
Mm.
Like, was it like a pivotal moment or was it something that happened or you saw something that triggered that in yourself? Like, how did you know that was something that you wanted to pursue?
Uh, I guess like a lot of people's hobbies, or a lot of people's passions, it comes with a love for and a desire for wanting to keep doing it.
Mm.
I guess, the first time I picked up a camera and started filming it, I was just like, just had this drive and passion inside me. It was just like, man, I want to go and do that again. Like, and we were doing it on the weekend, and I wanted to go back and do it the next weekend. It wasn't even my own handy cam. Took me about 3 years to convince my parents to get me one, and then sort of never looked back from that point. And I have a background in martial arts, so my passion was always doing martial art films, doing fighting, doing anything that was action driven was always a lot of fun. And maybe that's just the boy inside me, or of course that sort of direction has changed a little bit with my film career. Like I've certainly matured as a filmmaker and started to explore the more performance side of acting and that sort of thing, like how to get a good performance out of people and focusing more on drama than fighting. And, I've just tried to make and build myself the best way I can and give myself as much experience as I can along the way.
Yeah, I'm real curious. Obviously, I know very little personally about the film industry and
Yep.
even less about directing, which it's cool to have you on the call. Sort of what role does leadership play in directing films, filmmaking in general?
Yep.
What have you sort of discovered in that space through your time?
Yeah. Interesting because I think my career in filmmaking is very different to a typical filmmaker in that I've tried to build a film industry in a place where we didn't have a film industry. So I've
Mm,
never had the opportunity to just go and work on a professional film production because my passion's in Marlborough. I have no desire to go and live in Auckland or Wellington in places that are just congested with traffic and that sort of thing. It just doesn't interest me at all. So I guess my filmmaking career has been built on building my own team, working with people that I can trust, and then continually building on that team until like I have the best possible team I can around me. And that's so hugely important in film, is being able to trust. And I guess you could
mm,
say that about any role, really, is that trust is a really big part. You need to be able to rely on people to undertake the tasks that you designate. So leadership for me has been something where it's very different to a regular job. It's very hard for me to kind of articulate because being a director is like wearing all hats and having a really good broad knowledge of a whole lot of different industries. And if you broke the film industry down into roles, it's kind of like considering a whole lot of industry standard jobs, say building, accountants, people that operate cameras, like they all kind of fall under this one big bracket we call filmmaking, right? Because you need people that can build sets, you need people that can do accounting, you need people that are really good at organizing. And so, like it's about able to bring people together, lead them in a way where that you're inspiring them. And that's always kind of been my way. I love to have fun, but I love to do a good job. And when it comes time to knuckle down and do things, we do it properly.
mm,
And I think people have really appreciated my style and approach to directing. I'm not a dictator. I'm very collaborative, love other people's opinions, and love hearing other people's thoughts, because I think that's a really important part of directing, is being able to look at the bigger picture and understand what the vision of the film is, but along the way taking on board other people's perspectives, because you can't possibly see everything the way it should be. And so when you hear a good suggestion, you need to be open to that and not be like, no, no, it's all right. I don't want to hear that. You need to take it in and objectively say, is that decision or is that perspective the right one for this film? And if it is, I'm happy to take that on. And so I think
mm.
that's where people have enjoyed working with me in the collaborative spirit, that sort of thing.
Nice. Yeah, a couple of things I want to unpack there. One's the trust piece, and
Mm,
100%, like, there's plenty of good evidence out there that teams just simply don't function well without trust, or
yep,
certainly not optimally. So,
yep,
trust is something that came to you quite quickly there as being like a key foundational thing
yep.
within the filmmaking space, and it is across the board. How do you go about building trust? Are you intentional with that, or do you feel like it's just a part of how you do business? Or, what's
Mm.
trust look like to you? How do you go about doing that?
I think trust comes in the form of our end product in the film. Like, you know, um, when you have what we call head of departments, we have people that are in key roles that are leading the certain teams, because we've got a team that does makeup, we've got a team that works with the actors, we've got a camera crew, we've got all these different production team, that sort of thing. And you need people that are head of each department. So you need to have a very high level of trust in them, that they know what they're doing and that they're going to have a good job. And at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to, I guess, the end product. If you have a bad experience and it doesn't go well, which I'm not going to lie, I've had several of those, and it's just a case of working with people. Some people you can work incredibly well with, and they are always the people that I'm going to bring back and work with on my set. But like there's, I guess, like any job, there are some very egotistical people out there, and if people can't
Yes.
park those egos to the side and work at the same level as everyone else, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think trust comes in trusting people to do a job and to do it well. If they prove themselves after the first film, I mean, I'll know straight away if someone's a good fit for a film project or not. I'm a pretty good read on people, and I think that's probably where the directing skills come from as well, being able to
Mm.
read performance, that sort of thing.
So, like for you, the competence piece is really important. Like the
Yep.
person comes on set, they need to be able to
Yep.
do their part of the puzzle well, essentially. Hey, what's up, guys? Just a quick note to say, hopefully you're enjoying the show. If you are, feel free to like and subscribe, and you can share it with your mates. You can also find us at LinkedIn and on Facebook, or check us out at www.aegisleadership.co.nz. Cool, that's all from me. Let's get back to the show.
Yep. And they need to be able to work collaboratively, like they need to, again, be open to suggestions and being able to, do what's the right thing for the project, not the right thing in their head. And so
Mm.
it's a pretty fine line, but I guess, like I'll say something, and if I don't think it's right, I'm not the sort of guy that's going to yell out and say, "Oh, you don't do that." I'm the sort of person that will go over and talk to them quietly, pull them aside and just say, "Look, what you're doing there's just not right at the moment. Let's just park that, get back on track, and we'll do it." And I'll never bring other people into that conversation, right? It's always a one-on-one conversation, so that they don't
Yes.
feel bummed out. They don't feel like they've lost any confidence, because I think confidence in most roles is so important as well. Like confidence plays a big part. If someone's not confident in their role, then especially a film role. So actors are hugely self-conscious of themselves and their performance. So my role as a director there is to make sure that their performance is the best performance they can do. And I don't want them to feel like anything they want to try is gonna be a failure. Like it's gonna be,
Mm.
right, let's see your spin on it. Okay, great. Right, let's try this, let's try that, and then try a few different takes. That's just filmmaking in general. So I've
Yeah.
kind of detoured a bit there with your question, but it's just, I guess, brings up new ideas as you talk.
Yeah. More than happy to dive down rabbit holes, man. That's what
Yeah,
we're all about. So
yeah,
we'll unpack the interesting stuff. Like I'll go off script immediately. It doesn't bother me at all.
yeah,
So couple of things there around it sounds to me a lot of your role as a director is to encourage these people and
yeah,
make them feel good about what they're doing and give them the space to sort of be themselves and then reinforce what they're doing well. I
yeah,
really liked what you said around reprimanding in private. Like that's a big one. So
yeah,
there's that old school saying that I really like that I learned from someone, I can't remember who it was, but they were like, you should always praise in public but reprimand in private.
yeah,
And you've nailed it there with, hey, if there's that tough conversation that needs to happen, and I'm betting you've got to have a lot of them, we
yeah,
do that in the right way, right? So we don't lose trust with people.
yeah. It's done. Yeah, and yeah, without not hearing that quote, I think that's something very strongly that I'd live by without even realizing it. So again, it's just treat people how you would like to be treated. Like I
Mm,
would hate for somebody to yell at me on set and tell me how to do something if I'm doing it wrong. Like, oh, you stuffed up or whatever. Like that would dent my confidence hugely. So and I want people to have a good time. Like a lot of the filmmaking I've done to date has been passion projects, aka people aren't getting paid; they're doing it voluntary out of the goodness of their hearts. And so
yeah, yeah,
you need to pay respect to those people because they're following your vision. So North Spur, obviously, a completely different story in that a lot of paid professionals on set. Huge learning curve for me as a feature film. So when we talk about films, we talk about short films being 10 to 20 minutes long sort of thing versus feature films, which is something that ideally that you'd watch at a cinema or something, like hour and a half length. So yeah, steep learning curve. I guess for me, if I was to say comparing one film, like a short film with a feature film, it's kind of like running a 5K run versus a marathon. Like it's quite a lot of training involved, but it's obviously broken down day by day. So that's kind of the analogy. I get asked that a lot is what's it like to do a feature film from those who have done, like a short film might take 2 to 3 days to shoot, like versus a feature we did 21 days. So, it's all comparative. It's hard. It always
Yeah,
is. It's never easy. Always long days. Like it's always 10 to 12-hour days minimum normally. And so that becomes very tiring. And yeah, you start playing those mental games, right? Like, you can start getting mentally fatigued. Like, mental fatigue is probably more accurate with film as a director than anything. Like, it's a lot of sitting and waiting, but it's hugely taxing on your brain, especially the creative side. You got left and right side, and I've never forgotten a really bad experience I had on a film. About 10 years ago, I did a short film, which was actually quite a longer one. It was 25-minute film, an 8-day shoot with a whole lot of Americans that came to Marlborough to shoot it. And I was
mm,
doing two roles, and this was probably one of the biggest learning curves I got in my life. So I was directing the film and I was producing the film. So in short, a producer is somebody that organizes everything, does all the logistics, brings the team together, delivers stuff. So they're more involved than the director. Um, Unfortunately, a projector uses one side of the brain, the logistical side. Director uses the creative side of the brain. So when you're on set, like I was, I would be in there about to direct a scene. Someone would come up to me and say, "Hey, what time is catering turning up?" And
yeah.
I'd be sitting there going, and there'd just be this mind blank where I couldn't switch from left to right side of the brain or right to left side of the brain. And it was like this massive realization that I had stuffed up and I was never going to be able to do that again. And ever since that project, I've pretty much lived by the rule that I'm only doing one or the other. I'm never doing both because, yeah, just one of those huge life lessons I think I learnt, and it was just incredibly hard, incredibly challenging. I think you know what I mean there, bro. The creative side versus the logistical side. Very hard to
100%.
just switch over at the click of the thumb. And so, getting all these questions going from one to the other, it almost killed me.
Yeah. That interests me around because I'm assuming as the director you set the tone for the team, right? So it's like
Yep.
any team, if you turn up and you've got good energy and you're focused and you're enthusiastic, that's going to run through your team, right? Your cast,
Mhm.
whatever you want to call it. Whereas, if you turn up and your energy's off or
Yep.
you've got a negative attitude or, those types of things, those negative vibes, if
Yep.
for a lack of a better word, that's going to resonate through your team as well. So
Huge.
how do you
Yeah.
manage how do you
Yeah.
manage your energy, man? And like being on set for such long periods of time,
Yeah.
how do you manage your energy and still set a really positive tone as a leader?
I don't know what it is, but I think to some degree we're all on a spectrum, or the spectrum as we call it. And
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like with film, as soon as I'm on that set, something just clicks in my brain and I become an almost different person, an unrecognizable person than my everyday persona. I don't know
Mm,
what it is or how it works. It just happens and I have full energy, never dies, always positive. Like it just happens. And I don't know what it is. As a kid growing up, always struggled learning, but soon as I got introduced to media at school, media studies, it just stuck there, never forgot it. And it was just, I don't know, I think it's just one of those things where I'm just made to do that. And so it
mm.
didn't take me long to know what I wanted to do. But yeah,
Do you think it's just because you're in the flow state? Like it's
I think
something that
so.
you're so passionate about that you enjoy so much. It's got just the right amount of stress that you're fully engaged, but not so much stress that you're completely overwhelmed. Maybe you're just in the flow state when you're doing something that you love.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. I think flow state would be fairly accurate. Yeah, like it's just there's just like a real self drive when I'm there, and I just love it so much. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's like living a dream, right? It's
It's not
like a
even work
dream
to you.
state. Yeah, it's not work. It's just like I'm meant to be doing this. So yeah,
That's cool, man. So talk us through some of the setbacks. Like, you've done a lot of projects. You've already touched on the fact that filmmaking is inherently difficult, like a lot of things. How have you taken the punches, man? How have you dealt with that? Talk to us about that.
Oh, I think as an artist, I don't like to call myself an artist, but I guess I am an artist. Throughout your career, the more professional you get, the more criticism you're going to face,
Yes.
whether that be from social media, in person. I initially, like when I first sort of started doing it more professionally, which was 15 years ago, really struggled with taking criticism from people, especially, I guess, not understanding if somebody was coming from a good place or not. Like some people will give criticism, and despite the fact that it may have been a good film project, they might have been doing it just to. I'm not really articulating what I'm trying to say here. There's a lot of tall poppy syndrome in New Zealand, very much
Yes.
so.
Terrible. I hate it. I
Yeah,
hate
I
it.
hate it too. And if somebody's seen to be up here, got to start chopping them back down to your level, and it's never been truer than while I've been making film. It's
The fact is, man, like it's much easier for them to cut you down and bring you down to their level
yeah,
than it is for them to put in the required work and effort to get up to yours. And yeah, it's something that really bothers me about our culture. I
yeah,
think it's particularly poor here.
yeah. And that's something that I have purposely ignored and not considered when I talk to other filmmakers. It's always positive praise, congratulating people, because I know the amount of work that goes into the projects, like it's a huge undertaking. Some people are living and breathing a project for like all hours of the day, and it's like, and then you have somebody say, that was crap, or you did this really badly, and it's like, well, I don't know, I guess over the years I've learnt to objectively look at criticism and
Mm,
understand that, I guess, the whole rationalizing process. Listen to what they're saying. Is their criticism valid, or is it just something that is it just their opinion? And a good way for me to assess whether somebody has made an opinion like that is if two or three people pick up on the same thing and say something like, like some of your camera work that you used was, some of the camera was a bit soft. Well, yeah, maybe the focus was a bit soft, and yeah, understand that, take on board for next time. It's probably a really lame example, but like if two or three people pick up on something in the script where it's just a little bit out of place, which that's happened before, because as you gain experience, you learn a lot from your mistakes. I've learned nothing from my wins. It's all from mistakes, right? So
yes, yeah.
it's really good to, I guess, hear some of that criticism. But yeah, you soon know by personalities if something's come from a place of hate, or whether it's came from a place of constructive criticism, and
Yeah,
wanting to
totally.
help you.
And yeah, there's a really nice model that we used to use in the military, still do, around the feedback piece because
Yeah,
it's just data, right? You can do
yeah,
what you want with it, and that's one
yeah,
thing that people struggle to do is remove the emotionality from it and not
yeah,
view it as a personal attack. It's just data. But
yeah,
essentially, we're always like, you can do dump defer. Like if Aaron gives me some feedback, I'm like, hey, that's got a lot of merit. I've got the bandwidth to deal with that. I'll
yeah.
do it now.
Hmm.
I can dump it. I can be like, look, he's talking shit. He doesn't know what he's on about. I'll throw that in the trash. See you later. Or defer. Hey, man, what he said there has a lot of merit. I haven't got the capacity for it now, but
Yeah,
I'll revisit that in the future. But the underlying thing was if enough people tell you you're wearing a clown suit, there's a good chance you're wearing a clown suit, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
caution throwing too many pieces of feedback in the bin.
yeah. That's a simple case of how I've figured out whether criticism is being constructive or not, is just by, if someone else says it, then it's very likely it's a thing, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And someone else might say a comment in passing, and it's just, well, that's your opinion, and that's fine.
Yeah. What type of traits make a good director? What type of mindset traits, behavioral traits, if you could condense them down, what makes a good director in your opinion?
I think communication, first and foremost, huge. You have to be able to communicate with everybody effectively. If there's one person in the team that you can't talk to and be able to have that conversation where we're all on the same page, then that's a big letdown, because your film project's only as strong as the weakest person in your team, right? So you want
Yeah.
everyone to be operating on the same level. So I think communication is really important. I think another one is adaptability, especially being able to adapt to people's personalities. That's a strength I think that is rare, but it's something where I'm able to communicate with people on all levels, and it's something that people have picked up and gone, man, that's such a cool skill to have. Like, it's not
Mm.
everybody can do that. So,
Do
um,
you adjust your approach depending on who you're dealing with?
yep.
Okay. Can you give us an example of what that looks like? Or
Um, there, that's it's. I don't know. Like, I can pick up on characteristics of people and how people respond and act, and so I'll adapt and try and act in a way that they'll respond to it. I guess it's a really hard thing for me to explain, but it's just
so are
something I've
you are
learned.
you like constantly reading their body language
Yep.
as feedback? So you're like, hey,
Yep.
I've just
Yep.
given this person some information.
Yep.
I can tell that hasn't landed well. I need to
Yep.
adjust. Or
I think
hey, I've
that's
said this and it's landed really well type thing.
and just also tone of voice, how you speak. Some people respond to big voices, and some people respond to nice, quieter voices. And like just knowing how people speak, I think it helps. And yeah,
Mm.
it's weird. Like my family picks up on it all the time. Like they say, when I'm speaking to people, I just adapt into other modes, and I don't even know I'm doing it, but I do it. It's really hard to explain.
No, I think you've explained it well. It's just you're reading people's body language, right? You're reading their tone, their posture,
Yeah,
and you're adjusting accordingly. I think
yeah,
it's smart because, it's like if you try to treat everybody the same or
yeah,
message out the same to everyone, we all walk around with our own rose tinted glasses on our eyes, right? Like
yeah.
we all come from different backgrounds, we see the world differently, we respond positively and negatively to different things. Like we have to be smart enough to tailor our approach and
Mhm.
not just go with the sledgehammer for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Mm.
that's a good representation of actors versus crew, as well as that. For whatever reason, there are a lot of introverts in film, and I mean, I don't know whether I'd consider myself introvert or extrovert, but like being able to deal with those different sorts of personalities as well. I guess that's where a lot of that maybe comes from, that adaptability, knowing
Mm.
how to do both and how to speak to people. So yeah, it's yeah, a lot of people in filmmaking, I'd say, are definitely more on the spectrum than not.
That's cool.
I've dealt with I've dealt with all sorts.
Nice,
And
nice.
like some of the, I've worked with some like high level autistic people, but for whatever reason they click and they do a fantastic job. Like maybe it's Asperger's or something like that. I don't want to label people, but we
Mm.
deal with all sorts, and it's just, some of those roles in film require a really high level of knowledge, like camera, for example, is huge. Being able to know all the ins and outs of a camera and how everything works on it. And I've worked with some guys that are, high level on the spectrum that know everything intricately, where they start talking about the camera and it just over most people's heads, all this level of knowledge. And it's like, you just learn to say, sweet, keep going, you're doing a great job. And, yeah, just roll with the punches.
Nice, man. And, if you could go back to the starting line and do it all again, what would you change?
Oh, it's a great question. I'd love to not make the same mistakes I did again. That would be great. But in saying that, if I didn't make those mistakes, I wouldn't have learned the skills that I have now. Because man, I've made a couple of real blunders where, not like personal things with people, but just general mistakes that have really shot me in the foot for the film. Like, one really good example of that would be learning how to record proper sound, using a proper sound crew to record your audio.
Mm.
We had a really inexperienced team on a shoot that we did, and I thought I was gonna have to, like, actually, after we started editing it, I was like, "I think we're gonna have to, cancel this film. We're not gonna be able to finish it." And, out of the blue, I had a guy in America who contacted me and said, "Look, I'm a sound engineer. Give me the film stuff, and, I'll see if I can fix it." Did an amazing job and fixed it, but there was days and weeks there were leading up to that point where I was just like, I've let my team down here. I've overlooked the situation where we needed to have better quality sound, and that's come, and so it's always stuck in the back of my brain that sound is really important, and it's always been my perspective since that. This was 10 years ago now.
Mm,
It's been, and so that's just, I've always learned from that mistake. I'll never make that mistake again. But yeah, just huge how we grow as individuals from learning from these things.
100%. And you touched on it earlier, but it's 100% accurate around if it all just goes swimmingly, you're not going to learn anything or get any better. Like, we've got to take those falls to get up, dust ourselves off, and then
Yeah.
get 1% better each time. Eh?
Yeah, that's, yep, absolutely. I've won lots of awards, international level film awards. It hasn't taught me anything, I guess. If anything, it's probably taught me to be more humble because, again, tall poppy, someone gets an award, man, we can't have that.
Yeah,
So
rip
I
and
don't
rip.
normally make a big deal of it, but, like, the whole self-promotion is so important in the film game. Like, if you don't profile yourself and tell people about your achievements, people aren't gonna know what you do or what you're good at, and so it's one of those real necessary evils where I think that's given me a good leg up over a lot of people that choose not to do that. Yes, I probably hate doing it and talking about myself, but if I didn't do that, then I probably wouldn't have got the funding that I did to make North Spur, which was completely private funding investment. So
Yeah,
if I hadn't, expressed and publicized in the papers awards that I'd won, film projects that I've done, then they may not have known, they may not have backed me to get that film made. So I'm forever grateful for the fact that I did that.
yeah. And I think it's just a real shame that people should have to feel that way, right? Like,
Yeah.
you've done some amazing stuff, and you should be rightfully proud of that, and you should tell people about it, and that should be
Yeah,
totally fine.
that's right. Yeah, it's just, it's just the mentality of some people. Like, in the film world, like, I've come across people that have I've worked with them, things have gone well, and then for whatever reason or another, ego has played a huge part in them not liking me succeeded, and then them actually turning on me and not being my friends anymore. And that's been one of the toughest pills for me to swallow as a filmmaker, is losing friendships over ego.
Yeah.
And for them to not really want to own up and admit that, I find that really hard, that I can't still communicate to them because they've completely shut me out. And it's just this real toxic cycle that's continued on where got to keep cutting you down. Like to the point where when I released Northspur around the world, they intentionally went on to what's called the IMDb Internet Movie Database and purposely scored the film 0 to, like, several times to bump down our score.
Wow.
Like, I think if anybody looked at a film objectively, even a really crap film, it would be really hard to give a film a 0 or a 1. Like, it's a real shame that people feel like they need to go to that level to feel better about themselves. But I guess it's just something that I'm trying to highlight, is that it's a very active thing that happens, and it's I guess people that are interested watching, that maybe thinking about a film career, that I guess it comes with any level of professionalism where you're seen at a higher level. You're going to have haters, and it doesn't matter
Yes.
what you do, doesn't matter how you hold yourself, or you're still going to have that.
Yeah, I think so. And anybody that's done anything of note or has tried to
Yep,
achieve big things has been
yep,
misunderstood for long periods of time.
yep,
The fact is, we could open up Willy Wonka's chocolate factory down the
yeah,
road and give away free tickets,
yep,
and people would rip on us for that. So,
yep,
like, you
yeah,
just you just accept it's part of the deal, right?
yeah, 100%. And so, yeah, it's just, again, tough pill to swallow, but it's just something that I've had to learn to deal with.
Thick skin, eh? Yeah, for
Yep.
sure. Hey man, we'll wrap it up. I could talk about this with you all night. It's been a really cool yarn, but people are going to want to know more about you. They're going to want to reach out, no doubt. How can they find you, and what's the best way to do that?
I guess the best way is probably through my website. So just aaronfalvey.com. Contactable through there. There's a little bit about me and my journey as a filmmaker and a author. I released a kids book last year as well. So that was something else that I ticked off my bucket list. So
Nice,
probably the
man.
best way. You can find me on YouTube through my YouTube channel if you just type in my name. Aaron Falvey again. I'll come up on that. I've got a wee card break channel there, opening card packs to another one of my little passions. So yeah, there's a few ways. I'm on social media. I'm on LinkedIn, all under my name. So pretty easy to find.
Cool. Hey, man, thanks for your time. And really enjoyed the chat. Hey, guys, that brings us to the end of the show for today. Hopefully you liked it and you got some value from it. If you did, please like and subscribe and share this video with your friends. You can also check us out at www.aegisleadership.co.nz, or you can follow us on LinkedIn and on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. That's it for today. We look forward to seeing you on the next show.